Am I the a-hole for reporting my neighbors? I've 26 female been living in this same apartment complex for about 5 years now. In the 5 years I've lived here I haven't had any issues with any of my neighbors until recently. A year ago a new couple moved in. Things started off rocky because they chose to move in at 12 AM on a weekday. Everyone in the apartment asked them to be quieter as they moved, but throughout the week they were super loud. More time passed, and the noise didn't stop. The guy stomps around, and the woman is constantly slamming drawers and screaming. They run the laundry past 2 AM. Eventually, I asked them to be quieter. The apartment's quiet hours are from 10 PM, 8 AM. I get laundry goes a little long, but 2 AM. I also asked that they be more courteous about their pets. It wasn't fair that neighbors had to listen to their dogs howl and cats scream well past 1 AM. The guy immediately became defensive and said they're animals and can't help it. He works early and has to have his uniform clean. He went on about how he was a veteran and needed his animals. I told him because they were so loud I knew that they were home around 6 PM. If they run the laundry around then they could easily do 2 loads that would finish around 11. I also told him I'd get the pets help him, but he could train them to be better behaved. I also get up early, so having his pets act up and his laundry going past 12 was very disruptive. Suffice to say, we don't get along. Recently, there's been this loud sound, like an old engine or a generator. It starts around 11 and goes through the night. I slept in the living room for a while and figured it would stop soon. I was wrong. I went up to ask them about the sound, but the woman smirked and called her partner over. He told me he purchased an AITA and would not be turning it off. I said that was fine, but maybe he could move it or place something under it to muffle it. He slammed the door in my face, so I reported it to the property manager. Apparently this was the 5th complaint they had since moving in, so they were fined $500. Since then they made a point to tell me I have put them under insane financial strain. I feel bad, but I tried to talk to them. Should I feel bad? Am I the a-hole? Edits. It's definitely not just the act/laundry/pets. There was a character restriction when I posted, but they've gotten complaints for leaving trash in the stairwell for weeks, not cleaning after their pets, hosting parties during the week for reasons unknown to the other residents, etc. I tried to post the complaints more related to the issue I filed the complaint on. Yes, there are daily living sounds, but this complex has certain mechanisms built in that mitigate this. An example is the cabinetry. They have a springy thing that prevents them from being slammed, and little pads at the corners to muffle sound. For someone to slam the drawers hard enough for the sound to be audible despite these mechanisms is insane. I guess also for reference, I've lived in apartments most of my life. Having grown up overseas, it's quite common for families to live in high rises. I'm not sure if it's unique to certain cultures, but I feel like it's just common courtesy to adhere to certain rules, especially if more than one person has voiced concern. Now let's read some comments. Not the a-hole. Yes, $500 will likely have a significant impact. Hopefully, it also has a significant impact on their noise level. You tried to speak with them, but they declined to engage with you. That was their choice. Essentially let the MGMT company handle it. And they did just that. Finally, you didn't impose the fine. Nor did you know that was their 5th complaint. Nor was your complaint made in bad faith. All of this. Obviously it's not just the op having issues, otherwise they wouldn't be on their 5th complaint. I wonder how much that new AITA unit cost them? $500 is probably about what I'd expect for an older cheap one. I've gotten comments about this. It looks like $500 is a pretty high guess. I've obviously never bought an AITA unit and just guessed the number. It looks like it's area dependent, but usually around $200 to $400 for a good one. Might be. Not the a-hole. Really, what's with these people? You should be quieter during the night. Wanna watch TV or play video games? Headsets are available. Laundry can be done earlier. It almost sounds like they bought a noisy AITA unit just to piss off their neighbors. Keep complaining you and your neighbors every time they exceed normal noise levels. Eventually they'll get kicked out. Also 4 others complained before Opus. There was probably something in the lease that notes there can be fines for things like this. They agreed to the terms, and while no one wants a $500 fine, they shouldn't be shocked by it. It's your fault our bad behavior had consequences. Yeah, just read it like that. How would that ever make sense? Not the a-hole. This couple sound dreadful. Normally people are against making management complaints if you haven't tried talking to the neighbor first and seeing if a compromise can be made. But Op did that and has been trying to work with them for too long. People who live in apartment complexes need to be able to get along with others, and Op's neighbors can't seem to do that. This is the 5th complaint. Hopefully the neighbors take Op's advice under consideration or move out. Yep, I'm hoping they can't make rent. Oops. If they can afford to run a clunky act day in day out, they can afford the fine. Nor did you know that was their 5th complaint. And considering this was Op's first complaint, there were most likely 4 other people who complained about them, not like it was one person repeatedly complaining. Not the a-hole. Tell them to alleviate their insane financial strain by selling the act for $500. Lol, the way I laughed at this. I agree, but wow, what thin walls they must have. I'm above and below neighbors. I do my laundry late or early sometimes. The only times I've heard my neighbors was a party last year. I had my windows open and they were on the patio. I hardly ever hear them walking or talking. I think I hear loud thuds if they drop something though, but that doesn't happen often. So I'm just amazed by how sound carries in their apartment complex. I somewhat think that if someone isn't prepared to hear their upstairs neighbor, then they should be on the top floor. But Op said they had been there 5 years without problem. That really makes these new neighbors seem way worse than before. It's probably not worth that, but yeah, it would be poetic justice if they had to sell the act or couldn't afford rent, so they had to move out. Not the a-hole. They chose to live in a multi-family dwelling. They have to respect the ordinances put in place. Everyone has the right to peaceful living. If this was their 5th warning, they have no one to blame but themselves. It's not your fault they are under financial stress. It's not your fault they are a shats and choose to live somewhere where lots of people live. They have no respect for anyone. Report every negative interaction. You're in the clear. Not the a-hole. You made one reasonable complaint after a long history of them being uncooperative and poor neighbors. If anything, you were pretty lenient considering their rudeness. The fact that they got a $500 fine is entirely on them. They have pissed off multiple other people and seemingly at no point made any attempt to alter the behaviors creating these complaints. If you hadn't complained, someone else was almost certainly going to be complaining sometime soon anyway. This is true. Oftentimes my neighbors take on more poetic justice by just calling them out and arguing. I know that a few of the neighbors in our group chat are opting to call police now, especially where their pets are involved. Honestly, it's crazy how brazen they are. Not the a-hole. Them getting a fine is our own fault. If they didn't want to have to pay one, they shouldn't have been so inconsiderate to literally everyone around them. I read your comment about them wanting you to rescind your complaint so they don't have to pay. Do not do it. Actions have consequences, they need to face that. Honestly, it sounds like you need earplugs to sleep. Expecting your neighbors to be in bed by your bedtime and not doing normal things in their own apartment is unreasonable. If you can hear the washer and dryer, that acutely your place is just poorly constructed. Lecturing them on when you think they should do laundry is out of line. Window AC units just aren't that loud, even old ones. Again, this is more fault with the construction of the place than anything. I've considered that before because I didn't want to cause more friction. Problem with that is I have a hard time waking up in the morning. I tried wearing an earphone for a while so I could hear my alarm but still block out noise, but it honestly didn't help much. They don't have a window unit. Our complex doesn't allow those. I could wear earplugs and sleep with a louder alarm, but then I run the risk of being an arsehole who has an alarm going off at 5 AM while others are still trying to sleep. I can't argue with the construction of the place, but I've had 2 neighbors in the unit above me before this most recent couple, and honestly I've never had problems with the others. But between the pets screaming, the slamming of drawers, the laundry going constantly until 2 AM, and a plethora of other issues, I don't know that my wearing earplugs to bed fixes the issue of them being rude. This I can't believe you would tell someone else in your unit when they should do their laundry, and to a certain extent people can't exactly control how much noise their animals make, especially if the apartment allows pets. Not the a-hole. They were fined because they are inconsiderate to everyone else in the building. It sounds like there were 4 other people who complained. Remember that. And there were likely others who didn't voice their complaints. If they give more crap, point out they should use the fine as a lesson, and that they probably won't want more lessons in the future, so they better keep it down. Not the a-hole. If they have 5 complaints, it most likely means that you are not overreacting, and they probably know that they are being a nuisance to multiple people. You tried talking to them, and they were rude. Your suggestions are not ridiculous, so they cold easily accommodated. They are not the only people that live there, and they should start acting like it. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell for more videos. Also like the video if you enjoy it.